Hello, and welcome to this second session on Speak Your Truth. My name is Liz Odera, and I'm a change maker. In this second session, we're going to talk about bondage. We are often held back by what is historically happening to us. Situations that we've come through and may not still recognize that we have, or continue to hold on to when they no longer have value for us. I'm going to give you a few examples. I like to give a little story, and very often it comes from my own experience when doing work in the field of sport. So as a consultant, I worked with one of the Kenya Premier League teams. And that year, I was contracted to find out why this team that was very well sponsored continued to stay in the ranking of number 3, number 4, and never progressed. In spite of the large funding that was there, for some reason, even when they got the best players, they were not able to win the National League. I was, first of all, very excited to join them. And I was very impressed by the management of the team. You could see that they had the passion, they were interested, they were members of staff of that company, but also were former soccer players or soccer enthusiasts. I'm saying soccer because of the rest of the world, but in Africa and in Kenya, we call it football. Believe you me, the team was good. In any part of the world, many of these players would be highly ranked. Together as a team, many things didn't seem to be gelling. And it was my job to be able to find out what the issues were. There were many things that we did. But certain things stood out for me. And in this particular session, I'm just going to point out a couple. First and foremost, when you have a load that comes from your own personal experience or past experiences within your profession, sometimes you internalize them and carry them on to the next. And therefore, they become a form of bondage. And I saw a lot of that. There was always an expression that people would have that often intimated to me that they felt that they were right because of past experiences and nobody should tell them that it doesn't work here. During the process of reinvigorating and making changes, subtle changes to what was already such an amazing team, we had to look deep and understand what kind of bondage the team was carrying. And every time you look at a team, you also begin to look at yourself as an individual. What are you willing to accept and recognize and work with? And during that time, we ended up having to make certain decisions after setting our goals. And it was who recognizes that there is a bondage. And what kind of bondage is it? Can everybody get to have an opportunity to speak their truth? Because you cannot be a team if somebody's holding back. And at the end of the day, be willing to release those who do not feel they fit in. And those who do not want to understand that there is change coming. Give people a chance to move on to other teams. It was amazing. It was life-changing for all of us, including me, who was a consultant. And I can tell you that that year, that particular team won the National League and continues to be a strong team in the Premier League. What is your burden? What is it that continues to be a bondage for you? Because if you do not let that go, it mentally blocks you from moving forward. I'll give you another example. I have worked with a lot of tennis players and actually run one of the top tennis programs in Africa. And in the process of doing this, we have worked with over 3,000 tennis players from different parts of Africa. And East Africa being the primary beneficiaries. And one of the things that for me was very important was to have a community from different backgrounds. So our tennis community included schools and children and families that were very different in color, in race, in belief systems, in religious beliefs, because without that we cannot call ourselves a universal community. And we sponsored a large number of children who were talented from within East Africa and part of Southern Africa. And these children came in not only to play tennis, they also got an opportunity to go to school and perform well. And the backgrounds were often extremely poor. But here is where you begin to see the difference. The burden was definitely there. That is a clear burden. You're coming from a poor background. However, there are still distinctions. Am I willing to have the discipline to change? That is just my bondage. Can I let it go? Strengthen myself and embrace my future. And the results were very often very clear to see. Yes, you may be from one of the top academies in Africa. However, the results and your success depends on you. Out of every 10 children who came into the program, 7 out of 10 became very good tennis players, above average. Out of those 7, 3 were successful, extremely successful. And here we gauge success to be being able to survive and thrive. Either going on to higher education, many of them traveling the world, playing the game, using the game to gain university scholarships and go on to work. Others became coaches. But when I talk about success, for me it was, how much have you embraced the change and made it yours, your truth, how you use the sport to move on and move not just you, but those around you forward. Unfortunately, there is always a percentage of people who continue to wait to be assisted as you move forward. You remember that even in the Bible, you will see the story of how the Israelites were in bondage in Egypt for over 400 years. And when God saved them, you remember, they stayed in the desert for 40 years. People were still going round in circles. Even during that time, they could not stick to one thing, one truth, and continue to be confused. If you get yourself or get assisted out of bondage, and you've recognized what the bondage is, what will be your next truth, truly? Are you going to keep looking backwards? Or do you want to look forwards? And what will it mean for you when you say, I'm looking forward? These are very important questions. Otherwise, it becomes a case of, I was helped, but I don't understand why I am still here. Those people should have done more for me. And then the blame game comes in, where you think, you should have done more for me. Reality is, being released from bondage is not freedom. Freedom is what you make of that opportunity that you have. And as you create that opportunity, the freedom, you begin to understand your truth. What is your truth? So, I would like for you to take time, take a few minutes, and sit down and ask yourself, firstly, what is holding me back? What is it that is holding me back? And it may not be just one thing. It may be a series of things. And it could be related to situations you're in, people around you. What is your bondage? And be honest. If you have a list of them, good. Because then you can do the second thing, which is prioritize. Which would be truly my number one? Which would be my number two? Which would be my number three? It could be relationships. It could be my fear. It could be the extra responsibilities that are there. It could be expectations from people. It could be I'm overworking and I don't have time to think. It could be my present job is holding me back. It could be I can't get a job that I believe is good for me. And you think that it's a problem. It's not just a problem, it's a bondage. Because as long as you continue to hold on to what is not helping you move forward, you're stuck. How many times have I had people contact me and say, please, can you be my mentor? And my first question is always, why do you feel you need a mentor? And why do you need me? And someone will tell me something like, I can't get a job. I need a job. Hold on. Is that really a bondage? Think. What is the real issue? Is it because you're not qualified for the job you think you should have? Is that your truth really? Go deeper. It's important to dig deeper. Go down. Maybe it is that I didn't finish my education. And then go deeper. Why didn't you finish your education? There was not enough money to pay my school fees. Dig deeper. Why wasn't there enough money to pay for your school fees? And dig deeper. It's important to recognize every single piece of your background, because it is only then that you can begin to work on what is holding you back. So take your time. Work through this. Believe you me, it is hard. It is painful. And what I'm doing in this series is just to give you a glimpse of what I get to work with. For those who I work with on a one-to-one basis, in my sessions, it is a long journey and very satisfying. But I want to give you an opportunity to understand how I do it, so that you can try to work on your own. Thank you for being with me through this second session, in which we want to work through finding and speaking your truth. If you like this session, please click like. I'd like to have that like. And share with your friends, because it is only then that you can share your knowledge and gain together. Everybody needs to understand their truth if they are to survive in this fast changing world. You take care and goodbye.